All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. You are live and direct once again with your Akazaki Yahoo, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahuwah Bahashem, Yahushua Hamashiach, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say shalom, wa baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day that the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High Power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. Hallelujah. All praises to the mighty Yah. Hallelujah. All right. It is Yom Rishon, first day of the week, and it is 7:49 a.m. on the East Coast. I say the East Coast, but I mean Eastern Time. I'm not on the East Coast. I'm on Eastern Time. Um, might as well be the East Coast because it's the same time there and here. So that's why I say that. Anyhow, got another lesson for you. Once again, from my good brothers over at the Chosen Seed, TCS Adawan Brandon put out a banger last night, yesterday. And y'all know how I do. When I watch a lesson and I'm learning and I'm feeling good about it, I want to bring it straight to your doorstep. I want you to enjoy and feel what I'm feeling when I'm listening to this information. So that's why I bring y'all these lessons from my brothers, from my Adawan, from uh, men who I respect. That's what I put on this channel, men who I respect and teachers who I respect. My Adawan. Uh, so yes, indeed. If you've been on, I features you on here is because I got respect for you. I got respect for what you teach. I got respect for what you show, and that's why I'm bringing it to the people. All right, so let's get to it. Good information coming out. Uh, enjoy.
I got it. I got it. False alarm. Okay. Do, do anybody remember? It's not a trick question. Do anybody remember what I've been talking about the last couple of times up here? Anybody? No? No?
Talking about before the back to Genesis and everything that was happening in Genesis 3 to 4 to 5 and to 6.
No? No? Yeah, that was part of it. Say it again. No, no, no. It's all good. Say it again. How it's a preview? I gotta do better, man. I don't remember my. I get, yeah, well, so specifically, what it is that's why I titled it "Learn from the Beginning." Or basically, like with Moses. So if we read, let's go Exodus 24 and verse 4, just to recap. I go through these first three scriptures is in all three of these lessons as we go into the third part of the series. Show me some love. This is only like my second series ever. Exodus 24 and verse 4.
Exodus chapter 24, verse 4. And Moses wrote all the words.
What did he do?
And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuwah and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar unto the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
Now, what words did Moses write? He wrote all the words of Yahuwah, right? So remember what happens in Exodus 20. All right. So from Exodus 19, Exodus 20, 21, 22, 23, this is like all the, like it's like the proposal, the judgments, the statutes is all given to Moses from the Most High, right? And so Moses writes them all down in the book. So everything prior to, right, that happened that we read, because you understand, like the Torah is like the only, I ain't gonna say the only, but how the scriptures are ordered, the Torah reads somewhat chronologically, right? The rest of the scriptures are not really chronological, meaning that certain things happen at the same time, like the book of Isaiah and the what prophet was prophesying the same Isaiah? It's like major prophets, minor prophets. You know, it's prophets that prophesy in Judah at the same time as Isaiah. Same thing with Jeremiah. Like it kind of some of this stuff happened simultaneously. Was y'all aware of this? No, it's not. It don't read like a Donald Goins novel. It read. It's something relatable. So at a certain point, like what we see as far as like the history, right? The written history. So the children of Israel came out of Egypt, right? And all of these things took place. And who wrote the stuff down? Moses, right? So Moses didn't write the stuff down before his birth. He didn't write the stuff down when he was a child. He didn't start writing this stuff down until after that already came out. And the Most High gave him the words to write. So he wrote the stuff down, right? So even though we read Genesis and these events taking place prior to the children of Israel coming out of Egypt, they didn't actually receive the information until they had already come out. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Right? So so pretty much what I'm coming to understand is that all the things that are written of or that written down in Genesis were specifically for the children of Israel as they came out of captivity of Egypt and going into the freedom of the promised land. Y'all get that? Yeah? Specifically, right? So when we deal with the book of Genesis and we start off with Adam and Eve and we learn that what was the major, I would say the major lesson from what happened with Adam and Eve? Don't obey who? Obey Yahuwah, or you get kicked out of the land, right? Which is what happened to Adam and Eve. And what about the next? We got Cain and Abel. What happened with Cain and Abel? What happened with Cain and Abel? Say it again. Say it again, Mama. His brother killed him. So what do we learn? What's the major lesson from Cain and Abel? Love your brother, right? What's next after Cain and Abel? Noah, right? So it's some things that happened in between Noah. That's what we went through the last time I was up here. There's some things happened between Cain and Abel and Noah. Let's go Genesis 6:1 real quick. Go ahead. No. He creates good and evil, but evil ain't necessarily sin. Evil as it in the Hebrew is more so ruin, right? It's ruin, but it's not sin. Sin is sin is specifically the transgression of the law, right? So disobedience is sin. He creates the rule. Your obedience to the rule is righteous, counted as righteousness. Your disobedience to the rule is counted as sin. You covering up that disobedience is now you moving into iniquity, right? So did he create sin? Nah. We create sin with our choice to obey or disobey. that's not necessarily, yeah, that didn't necessarily happen in that order. Yeah, that war that you're talking about doesn't happen. I don't think that happened yet.
The war didn't take place yet. They was kicked out originally, but at the moment he still has the ability to go back and forth to the gate. So the actual war takes place at the end. But did he do the same thing in the beginning? Yes, because you cannot have true love without free will. So everybody has to have free will. If you don't have free will, it's not real.
Yeah, like I guess so. If you look at it like a marriage, right? Your the husband and the wife have the choice to stay or go. But if you truly care, you stay. You're right. You got the choice, right? So like we got a choice to either obey the Most High or disobey, right? All right. So I'm sorry. Let's go Matthew 22 and verse 36 first. Matthew 22 and 36. Matthew 22 and 36. First, because we get the understanding that the basic principles that they call,
My bad.
well, let's read it.
The
basic principles that we already stated that we get from Adam and Eve, from the story of Adam and Eve and from the story of Cain and Abel. Let's see how Mashiach quantify these things. Matthew 22 and verse 36.
Matthew chapter 22, 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yahushua saith unto him, you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment.
So now the first commandment, the first and great commandment is to love the Most High with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our mind. Now, how do we show the Most High that we love him? Is it with lip service? With what? Obedience to his word. So Adam and Eve's disobedience to his word showed that that's where the sin came in, right? The lack of love. So that their story was very important to the children of Israel as they entered into the land of, as they came out of Egypt. Because it's like, look, you're going into this promised land, the land flowing with milk and honey, quote unquote paradise, right? When you go into this land, obey the Most High, or else you're gonna get kicked out, right? That's the bottom line. If somebody asks you, well, summarize Adam and Eve for me. The Most High told them to do something, they didn't do it, they got kicked out, right? Okay. Same thing gonna happen to you if you go up in Israel acting a fool, right? Keep going.
This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Oh, the second is like, so now we get into the Cain and Abel portion of it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Cain did not love his brother. What did he say? Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's protector? Yes, you're supposed to be your brother's protector. So this is the other principle that the children of Israel needed to not only know, but needed to understand and do as they went into the land of Israel. When you came out of Egypt, when you go into Israel, obey the voice of the Most High, love and protect your brother, right? Verse 40.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Good. So now, past that, we get into the lineage. Let's go Genesis 6 and 1, because we get into the lineage. In Genesis 4 and 5, we get into, in 4 and 5, we get into the lineage of Cain and Abel, and then the lineage of Seth, right? So Genesis 6 and 1.
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, and that they were fair, and they took them wives all of which they chose.
That's good. So the thing that's been sort of debatable or that's been debated is that these sons of God here, are they actually angels or were they the actual lineage of Seth? I think, in my opinion, it's pretty clear that it's the lineage of Seth, but like I said, it's debatable.
Not debatable. But, okay.
I mean, people would still choose to debate that fact. That are these angels or was this the lineage of Seth? I think it's pretty clear. If you want to go back to the last time I was up here, I kind of went through it. But if you want to discuss it after the fact and you got questions about it, we can address it after, right? But what's really not up for debate is what the Most High told the children of Israel after he gave them the commandments in Exodus. So let's go Exodus 23 and verse 20. This is not up for debate, because what I stood on with in Genesis 6 was the fact that the Most High told, like the point of it was he went through the lineage of Cain, and then he went through the lineage of Seth, and he stated that Seth's lineage, he was specific in that there was born sons and daughters throughout the lineage, right? And the reason being was that there were wives to be chosen through this lineage, but instead they chose to choose wives of the daughters of Cain, and then they intermingled and mixed. And this was the thing that the Most High was trying to explain to them. Do not do when you go into the land, right? So let's Exodus 23 and verse 20.
Exodus chapter 23 and verse 20. Behold, I send the Malachim before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared.
Verse 28. What's the way? What's the place that he prepared?
And I will send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, the Hittites from before you.
So what was the place that the Most High had prepared for Israel? The land of Canaan, or is what became Israel, right? But it was the land of Canaan. It was prepared for them, right? So in verse 28, he said he won't send hornets before you to drive out all the people of the land, the Hivites, the Canaanites, the Hittites. Verse 29.
And I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against you. By little and little I will drive them out from before you until you be increased and inherit the land.
And do what?
And inherit the land.
Uh-huh.
And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out from before you.
Okay, so when you drive them out from before you, you're going to drive them out from before you. Verse 32 is the key point right here. Go.
You shall make no covenant with them, nor with their gods.
Now, when he say make no covenant with them, nor with their gods, what is he talking about specifically? No marriages. Don't give your sons to their daughters, and don't take their daughters for your sons. Do not mix with the people of the land. That was specific. That was the reason why you got the story in Genesis 6 of what happened prior to the flood. And then the reason for the flood is because the people had mixed. So he was telling the point of that, telling the children of Israel this, as they came out of Egypt before they went into the land, is do not mix with the people of the land. Plain and simple, right? Verse 33.
Verse 33, they shall not dwell in the land, lest they make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto you.
So if you allow these people to stay in the land, you're going to mingle and mix with them, and you're going to start worshiping their gods. They're going to pull you away, and it's going to be a snare. Then what's going to happen? What's going to happen if you go into the land and you start doing what they do? You're going to get kicked out, just like they about to get kicked out, right? So let me ask you this. He says, verse 32, he says, thou shalt make no covenant with them, right? What is a covenant? Say it again, Shanice. An agreement. allegiance, a pledge, right? So let's go Exodus 19 and verse 5. Promise, pledge, agreement, all of the above. I agree. Exodus 19 and verse 5.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 5. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice, indeed.
There you go, right there. That's the whole thing with Adam and Eve. If you will obey my voice, because remember, Eve listened to the voice of who? And Adam listened to the voice of who?
His wife.
And neither one of them listened to the voice of the Most High, else they wouldn't have got kicked out. So if you will indeed obey my voice, go ahead.
Indeed, and keep my covenant.
Now, when you hear those words, keep my covenant. If somebody asks you, a person that's completely green, now everybody, if you've been in this walk 5 years or more, raise your hand. Vast majority of the people been in this walk at least 5 years, right? So, who willing to answer a question? Johnny, what does keep my covenant mean? I'm completely green. I don't understand. I have never read the Bible. When I read this, if you will keep my covenant, I want to keep his covenant. What did that mean? Protect what? What covenant?
He want to know what the covenant is.
So, DeLorean. So, when you read it and you understand it, keep my covenant, we understand it as protect it. How do you protect it? So, what are you protecting? Say it again. What was that? What you say? Yeah, but I mean, so it's like.
What did y'all say that the covenant was?
No, I agree with what you understand. The covenant is obeying his word, right? I get that. So let's say you have a contract, right? For those of y'all that's married, you gotta say it again. You're protected by enforcing the rules. How else do you protect it? Like you got a contract between you and somebody else. How do you protect that? What? And hold who else accountable? You got to hold yourself accountable and hold the other person, the agreeing party, accountable, right? Or every person that's a part of the covenant has to be held accountable. What you're protecting is the integrity of the covenant, right? Y'all understand that? You're guarding the integrity of the covenant. If I got a contract between me and you that say, we got a contract that we're going to share this hat, right? And on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, you get the hat. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, I get it, right? And and on the 7th day it rests, right? So if on the 7th day, I'm like, man, I want to wear this today. And I take am I protecting it or am I breaking it? Right? And so by breaking it, you're in turn destroying it because you're breaking the integrity of our agreement, right? Which means that it's kind of a thing it's not a don't touch the hat because you're gonna get whooped. We got an agreement, and just you being an upstanding person, you should protect the integrity of our agreement, which means that you agree to do what's correct, right? So when the Most High says, keep my covenant, he's saying guard and protect the integrity of our agreement. I just laid down all of this stuff, and you said, everything that you just told us, we're going to do. So protect that, right? Everything that you said you're going to do this, right? So when it come down to, dang, I want to. It's the Shabbat, but I know I ain't supposed to. Like, you don't even have those thoughts, right? You shouldn't have those thoughts, because at the end of the day, you have an obligation to protect the agreement that you have between you and the Most High, right? And that's why that's why he always relates it to things like marriage and like parenting and like, you know, and those types of things, because they're easily relatable, right? That's like one of the easiest things you can relate to as a spouse. It's like, okay, well, if I'm out here acting a fool and I'm not protecting the integrity of our covenant, then I'm destroying what our agreement, our marriage is destroyed, right? Potentially. The only thing that's keeping it from being destroyed is the fact that you may not know. But we know the Most High knows it all, right? I'm sorry, reread verse 5 over again.
Verse 5. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. From all the earth is mine.
So, what is a treasure? Something of value. What is a peculiar treasure? It's strange. I agree. It's strange. Like, it's something of value, but it's strange. Like, it's different. Like, these people, but they different, right? So us being a peculiar, valuable before all the people of the earth, right? Verse 6.
And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a Kodesh nation.
What does it mean, a Kodesh nation? What does it mean? Set apart from what? Set apart from what? Set apart from who? Set apart from everyone else. Now understand that what he's telling them before they go into this land, what? Do not mix with these people. Be set apart. Be different. Your difference is going to make you valuable. You are valuable unto me. But if you go to mixing, now you're going to be just like everybody else. Right? So when you read this out of the Hallelujah scriptures, because when we read holy, I don't know if when everybody reads holy, do they automatically think set apart, right? You're supposed to be different, right? So when you read Exodus 19:5 in the Hallelujah scriptures, it says, now if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the people, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set apart nation. Those are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. That's what he's telling Moses to tell the children of Israel. If you obey my voice, guard this covenant, then you're going to be a set apart nation, right? Let's go Genesis chapter 7. And matter of fact, let's go Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18. Because we're going to go right to what happened after the waters abated in the flood. Now, we understand what happened before the flood, right? There was a mixing. Matter of fact, let's read it. Let's go back to Genesis 6. Let's go verse 3. Because when the sons of Elohim and the daughters of men mixed together, right?
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 3. And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man.
He saw what?
The wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. And it repented Yahuwah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahuwah said, I will destroy man.
He would do what?
I will destroy man whom I have made, have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing and the fowls of the air.
That's good. So we understand what took place after that. We had the ark. Noah built the ark. We had the flood. And so after the waters of the flood abated, Genesis 9, and we start at verse 18.
Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan.
So, understand. Imagine that you are the children of Israel, freshly hand-delivered from Egypt, in the wilderness, at the base of the mountain, and Moses is telling you this stuff for the first time, right? Why is it significant to point out that Ham was the father of Canaan? Because what? So the people of the land are descendants of Ham. This is what he pointing out. The people that we about to go deal with are descendants of Ham. Right? Absolutely. Go ahead. Now, of the sons of Noah, do y'all know who older, younger? Do y'all know? Japheth is the oldest, then Shem, then Ham. Go ahead.
These are the three sons of Noah, and of Shem was the whole earth overspread. Of them. I said of Shem. And of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman.
What was Noah?
An husbandman.
What is a husbandman? A farmer, right? And what did he do?
And he planted of the vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham.
And who?
And Ham.
Who was Ham?
The father of Canaan.
Notice how it's telling you. And Ham, the father of Canaan, right? Why it ain't saying it's Shem? When we read it, it don't go into who Shem's son was, don't go to who Japheth's son was. He's specifically telling you, and Ham, the father of Canaan, what did he do?
Saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him.
Stop right there. So, understanding, when you go into this land, he's telling them some things right now within this story that are not good, for you to do. You shouldn't, remember, he's going to lay down later. You shouldn't see your father's nakedness because it's your nakedness. We don't do that here. That's what the people of the land do. That's why he pointing out. And Ham, he did this. He the father of Canaan. We don't do that kind of stuff around here. Right? Verse 25. Then that's the other thing I peeped. And this is something that happens later. But he say Noah was drunk and Ham came in and did what he did. And then he say when Noah woke up, he knew what happened, right? So that let me know that Lot knew what happened too when he woke. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like Lot was kind of foul. Like you had to know what happened. You woke up.
But it said he perceived not. The text said.
Yeah, I don't know, Lot. Let's get verse 25. Yeah, he had them grapes Squire was talking about last week. He had them grapes, the big grapes.
And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants.
A what?
A servant of servants.
A servant of servants. Go ahead.
Shall he be unto his brethren.
Unto his who?
His brethren. And he said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Shem.
Of Japheth.
Of Shem.
Of who?
Of Shem.
Notice he's telling them specifically, blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Shem. Why? Why is he telling them that? Yes. Because y'all is descendants of Shem. This Yahuwah is yours. Right? Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Shem. Go ahead.
Blessed is Yahuwah of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
Shall be what?
His servant.
And Canaan gonna be his servant. Go ahead.
Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem.
But this Elohim don't belong to Japheth. He ain't say, blessed be Japheth, Elohim of Japheth. I mean, blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Japheth. He say Elohim gonna bless Japheth, but this Elohim belongs to Shem, right? But he gonna bless Japheth, and Canaan gonna serve him too, right? Genesis chapter 10, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, and Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer.
You'll jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue and after their families in the nations.
That's good. Verse 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta.
That's good. Verse 8.
Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuwah. And the beginning of his kingdom.
Of his what?
Of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of the land went forth Ashur.
And he did what?
Builded Nineveh.
And he did what?
Builded Nineveh.
What does it mean he builded Nineveh? What is Nineveh? It's a what? He builded Nineveh, right? Nineveh is a what? Y'all with me? Okay, go ahead.
And the city.
And the what?
And the city.
So he built Nineveh, which was a city, and the city of what?
Rehoboth. And Calah. And Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, and the same is a great city.
So he built Nineveh, and he built the city of Rehoboth and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. Why is he pointing out these cities? Anybody want to take a stab? No? Let's go Genesis chapter 4 and verse 16. Keep the whole cities part of your mind. We're going to dig into the cities real quick. Genesis 4 and 16.
Genesis 4:16. And Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah.
He did what?
He went out from the presence of Yahuwah.
Listen, Cain went where?
Out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city.
And he did what?
He builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch.
Now, why is Moses mentioning to the children of Israel all of these cities? Like he's specifically saying Cain built this city. But first, what did he do before he built the city? It say he went out from the presence of Yahuwah. Then he builded a city, right? And Nimrod's kingdom started here. And then this person built the city of Nineveh. And then this city and that city and that city. Why? There wasn't no cities, right? What is a city? What is a city? Go ahead. True. As far as the scriptures go, what is the city? Like, what's significant about, because it's business and homes is in the country too. What's the difference between the country and the city? Is what? What the walls for? For what? Why do you need protection? Why does a city need protection? Say it again. So when Cain left from out the presence of the Most High, he built a city to protect himself, right? He built a walled city to protect himself because he left out the presence of the Most High. This is the point of Moses pointing this thing out to the children of Israel, because who was the children of Israel's protection? So was there a need for a city? Was there a need for walls? There was no need for it, right? Go Genesis. Wait. Plus this. Go Exodus 1 and verse 8. Exodus 1 and verse 8. So we see that he's specifically mentioning these cities. Why would cities resonate with the children of Israel? They just came from where? Not just from one, not just the biggest one, not just the richest one. What's significant about this greatest, richest, biggest city? That they was delivered from it, but not only did they deliver from it, what did they do? They built it. They just got delivered from the biggest city that there was, that they built. So he pointing out, yo, this man built a city. They built a city. They built a city. They built a city. Right? Genesis chapter 1, verse 8.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8.
Thank you. She got me, Johnny. You see that?
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Are the mighty ones. Oh, well. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasured cities.
What did they do?
Built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more
that's good. So it said they built for Pharaoh treasure cities. Now, what is a treasure city? If a city is to protect, what do a treasure city do? Protect what? The treasure, right? They built these cities to protect Pharaoh's treasure specifically, right? So let's go. So if is protection a bad thing? It's not necessarily a bad thing, but understanding where your protection comes from is the point, right? Let's get Deuteronomy 33 and verse 26. 33, Deuteronomy 33 and 26.
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 26. There is none like unto Elohim of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the Shamaims in thy help and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal Elohim is thy refuge.
Is your what?
Is thy refuge. And underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before you, and shall say, destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safely alone. The fountains of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and of wine. Also of his heavens shall drop down dew.
Verse 29.
Happy are you, O Israel, who is like unto you, O people saved by Yahuwah.
Who is Yahuwah? Go ahead.
a shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and shall tread them upon their high places.
So there was no need for walls, right? There was no need for cities. So he's specifically going into how these people, excuse me, builded a city. But notice it was Cain, it was Nimrod, it was all the sons of Canaan that he pointed out that builded these cities, right? Why? Why is he pointing these people out, right? They're going into the land of Canaan for sure. Exactly. Say it again, Alicia, for everybody here. To let them know that they some wicked people. That they don't, like what Daquan said, that they don't have an Elohim. They need these walls and these cities to protect them because they don't have an Elohim like you got. Blessed be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Shem, right? Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 1.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 1. I lifted up mine eyes and again and looked, and behold, a man with the measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goeth you? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the Malachim that talked with me went forth, and another Malachim went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying
what?
Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls.
As what?
As towns without walls, and for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith Yahuwah, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her.
That's how children of Israel was supposed to dwell. They say he took the length thereof and the breadth thereof, because Yahuwah was supposed to be a wall of fire around around Jerusalem. It's a town without walls. Remember, when they left when they left Egypt, what was between the children of Israel and the Egyptians? A pillar of fire, right? The cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. And what was this pillar of fire doing? Exactly. So there was no need for walls. There was no need for a city. So them pointing out that these people built a city, like Alicia said, because showing that these people are wicked. These people don't have no Elohim. They don't have nobody protecting them. But you got me, right? When we read in Exodus 23, after he laid down the commandments, he like, I'm gonna send my Malachim to be with you, to keep you in the way. Listen to him, right? Let's go back. Genesis 10, verse 6.
Hold on. Ho, come forth, flee from the land of the north. Deliver thyself, O Zion. Deliver thyself.
Yeah, that's it. Deliver thyself. Deliver thyself. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 6.
They get it. Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba.
That's good. So notice how when it goes through the sons of Ham, understand that this stuff is not worded this way by mistake, right? It's specifically worded this way for a reason. When he goes into the sons of Japheth, he just start naming, right? Then he goes into the sons of Ham, and he just start naming, right? Listen to what he say when he go into the sons of Shem. Verse 21.
Verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber.
Now, why does he mention that he's the father of all the children of Eber? That's where they come from, right? That's where they come from. So he's giving them some background on where they come from. No different than when somebody first wake up into the truth, right? We tell them like, yo, this is where you come from. You're a descendant of this lineage, right? So he telling them, and unto Shem also, he the father of all the children of Eber. Go ahead.
The brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
Why don't he tell him he was the brother of Canaan? I'm sorry, the brother of Ham. Why don't he mention it? Say it again. No, but notice he say he's the father of the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, but he don't say the brother of Ham. Because you about to go and smash out on these people.
He out of the lineage, just like Cain is not mentioned in Adam's lineage because of what he's done.
Right? Genesis 11 and verse 1.
Genesis chapter 11 and verse 1.
So before we get to that, y'all ever notice how in Genesis 2 it talks about how how the Most High created man, and then in Genesis 3 it goes into depth and detail of how he created man and woman. So this is how Genesis 10 and Genesis 11 type read. It's like it runs through the lineage, right, of all of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and then in Genesis 11 we see where we get to the story of the Tower of Babel, right? So notice something about the Tower of Babel, and then what immediately follows the story of the Tower of Babel. So we're going to read through Genesis 11, verse 1.
Genesis 11 and 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city.
Let us do what?
Let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto Shamaim, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded.
So remember, who was the first one that built the city? Cain, right? He said when Cain went and he dwelled in the land of Nod, he built a city there. So now when the people all have one language, he say, they came and said, hey, let's build us a city and a tower that we may do what? That we may make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad amongst the face of the whole earth. It's very similar to what Cain says. Like, keep going.
And Yahuwah said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language, and this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and
Hold on. So another thing he says, now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Remember while he wiped out man before the flood, he said, why? Because the imagination is wicked continually. So as we read through this, who do it sound like he's speaking about? Who built this tower? That's who it sounds like to me too. Yep. Ham and his descendants. Because remember where in verse 1, read verse 1 again.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east.
As they journeyed from where?
The east.
The east. So these people came from the east. Remember, the Isles of the Gentiles was Japheth. They was around the sea. These people came from the east into Shinar. You know where Shinar is? Babylon, Iraq, right? These people came from the east to that area. It sounds like they the children of Ham. This is the other reason why I believe that. If you, as you read through, let's read verse 9. I'm sorry, read verse 9. I'm sorry, verse 8.
Verse 8. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahuwah did there confound the languages of all the earth, and them from thence did Yahuwah scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth.
Now, Babel was whose first kingdom again? Do y'all remember what we read in Genesis 10? Whose first kingdom was Babel?
Nimrod,
right? Nimrod was a son of Ham. So now, as we go through reading from the Tower of Babel, and it says, and when Yahuwah scattered them abroad, it didn't say they didn't go build another city. It said they left off to build a city elsewhere, right? But now, as soon as we get to verse 10, read through verse 10. Start at verse 10.
Verse 10, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
So now it goes directly into the lineage of Shem. So as he's breaking down from the Tower of Babel, now he goes directly into into stating about Shem's lineage. Y'all see that? So he had to be talking about somebody else prior to. But read Shem's lineage.
And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years and begat Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years and begat sons and daughters.
Stop right there. Do y'all remember from the other lesson I taught? Does this sound familiar at all? Okay, good. Let's hold right there. Hold right there. We're going to come back. Go to Genesis 5 and verse 3.
Genesis chapter 5 and verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters.
Now, what's the difference? What's the similarities between what we just read about Adam and Seth's lineage and Shem's lineage? They begat, what did they begat? Sons and what? So 1,000 points to ever remember why it's significant that he mentioned the sons and daughters. Who want these 1,000? These are redeemable at any. Mm-hmm. So notice when he went through Japheth's lineage, they only mentioned the sons. Notice when he mentioned Ham's lineage, he only mentioned the sons. When he went through Cain's lineage, he only mentioned the sons. But when he went through Seth's lineage, he mentioned he begat sons and daughters. When he mentioned Shem's lineage, he mentioned he begat sons and daughters. Why? Well, he mentioned them because to show, say it again. That exactly. There were daughters in the righteous lineage for these righteous men to choose from. Right? Exactly. Man, you sharp today. Go to Genesis 11 and verse 26. I'm gonna spread them out evenly. You get 250 and you get 250. I'll spread them out evenly. At least you get 300 because she get the deal. Genesis 11 and 26.
Genesis 11 and 26.
Because remember, we just read in Genesis 11, this is as he's going through the lineage of Shem, he goes into they begat sons and daughters, and they begat sons and daughters, and they begat sons and daughters. Now, immediately after that, not immediately, but as he gets to the end, like toward the end of the lineage, he starts to go into Terah. Who is Terah?
Abraham's pop.
Abraham daddy. Now, Abraham is significant to all. They all know Abraham, right? So this is Abraham's father. So let's read what he has to say. This is in still Genesis 11. After the Tower of Babel, still mentioned within Shem's lineage. Read. Verse 26.
And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took them wives.
Right? Go ahead.
The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarah was barren. She had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarah, his daughter-in-law, and his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan.
To go where?
Into the land of Canaan, and they came into Haran and dwelt there.
So where did Abraham and Nahor's wife come from? Sarah and Milcah, Abraham and Nahor, his brother. Where did they get wives from? From their own family, right? This was the point of him mentioning the sons and daughters. Then he goes into Abraham. Like I said, everybody knew Abraham. Everybody knew Abraham was righteous. Look where Abraham got his wife from. They did not mix with the people of the land. This was the point of him pointing out Abraham. Abraham didn't mix, right? So immediately when you get to Genesis 12 and verse 1.
Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. Now Yahuwah had said unto Abram, get you out of your country and from your kindred and from the face your father's house unto a land that I will show you.
So what was the first thing that the Most High told Abraham to do? Separate yourself, right? Separate yourself, right? Because these other people had mixed in with the other people of the land. He told Abraham and Nahor, they took wives of their own lineage, but he told them, separate yourself from your father's house, right? Now, let's go. Let me show y'all something real quick. Matter of fact, read verse 4.
Verse 4. So Abram departed as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance, and they that had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan.
That's good. Genesis 13 and verse 7.
Genesis chapter 13 and verse 7. And there was strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle.
Now, what does strife mean? There was disagreement. They was fighting, right? Between Abraham and Lot's people. Go ahead.
And the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and you, and between my herdmen and your herdmen, for we be brethren.
For we be what?
We be brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then will I go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and behold, all the plains of the Jordan that was well watered everywhere before Yahuwah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahuwah, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zor.
So he giving them a visual of what the plain of Jordan looked like. Because remember, by the time they seen it, Sodom and Gomorrah had been destroyed. This whole land was barren. He telling them like, yo, it was well watered, like paradise. It looked like Egypt as you come out. You know what I'm saying? Like he gave them a visual description of what Lot saw. Go ahead.
Then Lot shows him all the plains of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east.
Where did Lot journey?
East. And they separated.
What was east? What was east? Right. Lot journeyed east. Go ahead.
And they separated themselves the one from the other. And Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities.
In the where?
The cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly.
Stop right there. So we understand that Sodom was what? Sodom and Gomorrah were cities, right? There was no, the children of Israel wasn't supposed to dwell in the cities. They were supposed to dwell with Yahuwah being our protection, right? So this is like I said, as you read through all of these different stories in Genesis, understanding that that Moses was giving these stories to the children of Israel, and as they were going to prepare to enter into the land. The reason being is you about to be faced with these things. Listen to the voice of the Most High. Love your brother as yourself. Don't mix with the people, and don't build the city. Right? He's telling them this stuff specifically. It's very, very important to them that don't do these things. Right? Imagine as soon as they go into Israel, because when they went there, if there was cities already built, remember, the first thing they did, what was the first city? What was the first thing, the first place, the first city that got conquered by the children of Israel when they went into the land? Y'all remember? What was it? What did they have to do at Jericho? How did the walls fall? Right?
Obedience.
Obedience destroyed the city. They didn't even have to lift a finger. They just walked around the wall. Like, just understanding the significance of that. Or to just walk around the wall, and the wall's gonna fall. And the city was destroyed. Understand? So that means that there were cities already in the land. And when they sent the children of Israel into the land, they destroyed them. They destroyed the cities. They tore down the high places. That's why you see it didn't all happen. Like we said, I'm not going to destroy and get everybody out the land in 1 year. We're going to do it little by little. Because understand, they destroying cities. The thought is, y'all about to go in here and destroy these cities. Then I'm going to be a city round about you as a wall of fire. Right? All right. Questions? Comments? Y'all going to remember this next time? Probably not, but part 5 next week.
Tell that Aki ain't finished yet.
Part 4 next week.
Tell them to add a couple more scripts. That's too short.
I got to take it little by little, piece by piece, little by little. So like story by story, that's why, the piece by, but just to show that why these stories were significant to the children of Israel as they were leaving Egypt, going into the land of Canaan, right? What was the point? Because understanding that they didn't like when they went into the wilderness that they had a Bible. They didn't have no Bible. He gave them the story of Moses wrote down this stuff and he gave them Genesis, and they were doing Exodus. Right? Right? There was nothing past that. They was Exodus. You know what I'm saying? So prior to that, nothing existed. There was no written text. They didn't have anything written until Moses wrote it out. Then Moses wrote it out. Look, here. And he said he recited it in the ears of the people continuously, right? So that they understood. When you go in this land, this is how you do. We don't do that around here. So we don't mess with our sisters. We don't mess with animals. We don't eat this. We don't, right? And he laying it all down to them, but it's happening in real time. So when they get in Genesis, everything else past that is happening in real time. They experienced what happened to them in Egypt, then coming out into the wilderness. This is their own experience, right? All the way up until like Exodus 19. Now it's happening in real time. Now they getting everything that happened prior to in writing. Other than that, what do they have? They don't have no prophets other than Moses. He was the only prophet. Ain't no Psalms, ain't no Proverbs, ain't no New Testament. Mashiach was right there with them in real time as a protection, right? In the wilderness. Understand, they in the wilderness. They got a camp. What was they protection when they was in the wilderness? What did they have? They had what's the name? Right? They dwelt in tents. Right? They dwelt in tents. They ain't had no walls. When it was time for them to eat, manna came down. When it was time for them to eat at night, quails just came into the camp. Right? They were supposed to, when they left Egypt, they were supposed to go directly into the land. They wasn't supposed to be in the wilderness for 40 years like they were.
8 days, right?
Say it again?
8 days, right? 8 day walk?
I don't even think it was 8 days. It was 3 days. 3 days. And it wound up taking them 40 years. So basically they just in circles, right? They moved in circles before finally when everybody died, now y'all can go in. But prior to, so just understanding what really what really was happening in real time, it give you a really, to me, it did for me. I'll say this, I'll speak personally. It gave me a different understanding and different perspective of what I'm actually reading. You know what I'm saying? So, but questions. Did you have a question, Diapos? No. Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I got a question now.
Go ahead.
So Genesis 9, the story of Noah. I just want to read it real quick.
Uh-huh.
It says Genesis 9 said 9:25 says, and he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants, shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant." So why is Canaan? Canaan is the son of Ham.
Yeah.
Canaan didn't do anything. Why is he being cursed?
Well, it's Ham's descendants. They all being cursed. They all of them.
Okay.
But
So
it's from what Ham did, though. Huh?
So the reason that this is because at this time when you did this with your father, you were trying to usurp his authority and become the person that gonna lead the lineage into it. So this was a thing. So when Reuben did this with his dad, he's trying to do the same thing. When Absalom is doing this with David and his wives, they're all trying to usurp their father's authority and take over the thing. So he says, just because you did this and you think Canaan is going to be the one, I'm going to make him a servant of servants. So that's why it goes to him and not to Ham, which is still killing Ham because that's his son in which he wants to propel and put in charge.
Question? Yeah, Johnny.
You mentioned they was doing things in real time.
Mm.
So moving on now, back to numbers. When we got to the part of fringes, I'm kind of stuck on what bid, like he said, bid unto the people. Is that what does bid mean? And I mean, I asked this question before. What's the significance of the blue border?
Well, the purpose that he stated about the fringe was so that they would remember, like, to keep the commandments, right? Was it
Is that a commandment? Bid unto the people, or just tell them? And they
That's
do it.
probably what that word bid really meant. Like I'll have to look at it and see. Numbers.
All
Is
right.
to say or to speak or to utter. So when it's saying bid, it says speak to them or
Mm-hmm.
say unto them to to do fringes. So
Mm-hmm.
speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them that they may make them fringes in the borders of their garments. So that word bid is to tell them or to speak to them about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it in yeah, yeah, what Crop said.
So let me see something right quick. Hold on. We doing this in real time. Hold on. 8:55, 7:55, 9.
That's why I love Q&A.
Yeah. So this word
That bid is when
Amars
Elohim
is like to
said,
proclaim.
let there be light. And he said, so yes, it's definitely a command because it's what he's saying.
It's like a proclamation,
Yeah.
and not just say something to a person, but to like proclaim, speak out loud. That's what this word means.
Command them
Speaking,
that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments.
the blue border to like the separation thing. Okay, they may have. As a matter of fact, I seen a guy in Walmart with fringes on, and he was talking to me. And he was like, "Yeah, this is what they teach us." And I asked him, I said, "Well, what is the blue border?"
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't really say anything. I don't know whether he knew, but if he knew about fringes, he would think he would know about the border. And I'm like, was wondering, what's a person's tongue a blue border? Why blue? Like I know it's something maybe both sides wanted.
From my understanding, the blue represents like his law. So different colors meant different things. Like scarlet was symbolic of like blood, and purple was symbolic of royalty. You know what I'm saying? So I'm from my understanding at this point that blue represents his law.
Mhm. Yeah, and all those are royal colors. The scarlet, the blue, the purple. All those are royal colors.
Like tassels or
No, yeah, like on the shirt, just like mine. The black guy, and he didn't have a border. Blue was in. Yeah, yeah. He had them on, but just not the blue border. He was Israelite, but I just didn't understand
why you didn't have it.
why they didn't have it. Yeah. They all right. Yeah. It looks like that.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and pause it right here. Um, my only critique uh, is when the brothers are doing Q&A, is that make sure that the camera is able to pick up the Q&A and hear what's going on, because oftentimes that doesn't happen, and so the people on the screen are left off of the situation. So another wonderful lesson. Shout out to the Adawan Brandon, Chosen Seed, those good brothers over there doing good work, bringing forth the information of the Most High. I appreciate those brothers very much. Those are good brothers. I've been there, and definitely good brothers. While I was putting this lesson in, and we were reviewing this lesson, um, came across some troubling news, very troubling news that I'm going to share with all of you here. This particular, if you're not familiar with this trial, Daniel Penny, trial judge, agreed to drop top manslaughter charge in court after the jury deadlocked twice. So they tried this guy two times, and this happened on the 6th, which was 2 days ago, which was Yom Shishi, or what you may call, what you would call the day before the Sabbath, what you would call Friday, some of you. But they dropped the charges on this guy. Now, for you all who don't know who this guy is, uh, he is the guy who choked to death a so-called black man on the subway. He put a chokehold on him and held it until the man died. He choked the man to death on the subway. And went to trial twice, and they deadlocked, meaning that they couldn't come to a agreement. So you had so many jurors that said guilty, you had so many jurors that said innocent. Nobody would budge. And so they ended up uh, mistrial the first time. Second time, they do the same thing. And uh, this time, the judge drops the manslaughter. So he drops the manslaughter charge. So once again, there is a so-called black man who is dead at the hands of a specific person, and nobody's responsible. This man is dead. His life is gone. And yet no one is responsible. He's just somehow dead for no good reason. Nobody's responsible for his death. The guy who caused his death, he's not responsible because somehow, some way, he didn't. He didn't. It's not his fault. Yet they charging him with manslaughter because he choked the guy. He choked the gentleman, the brother. Let me keep it real. He choked the brother, and instead of uh, subduing him, he choked him until he died. He choked him to death. So what does that mean? That means when you have someone in your grasp and you're cutting off their air supply, they're going to fight for a turn because they're going to try to get air. There's going to come a point where that struggle stops. That's them passing out. The struggle is over. He held beyond that struggle was over, and he continued to hold. And as he continued to hold with no struggle, with no movement from this man, he continued to hold it until the man's heart stopped beating, until the man's brain stopped receiving oxygen. So he held this man for so long that he died in his arm. And they charge him with a accidental murder, with accidental death. That's manslaughter, accidental death. I killed you by accident. My apologies. But that's not what, it wasn't an accident. He literally squeezed the life out of this man, out of this brother. And yet, uh, they charged him with accidental murder is something along the lines of, I killed you, but I didn't mean to kill you. That's me we in a fight, and I throw a punch, and my punch hits you in the face, and you fall to the ground and hit your head on the concrete, and you die behind that. That's an accidental death. That's not, I didn't mean to kill you in that situation. I didn't mean to cause your death in that situation. We were fighting and I hit you and you fell and hit your head. That wasn't me. I didn't seek to end your life in that situation. This was a chokehold that this man held for such a long time that not only did the brother pass out, but his life force ended. So he held this choke for a while because people can hold. That's utterly ridiculous that he would go to a mistrial twice, that they were deadlocked twice. So whoever was, they were not budging. They were not dealing with the facts. This was a completely racial issue because you had, I guarantee you had some Caucasian in there that said, I am not convicting a white man for killing a black man. That's what it boiled down to. Because all the facts, there's no mystery as to whose arm killed this brother. There's no mystery as to who squeezed and killed the brother. There's no mystery as to who's responsible for the death, how the death occurred. All of these facts are in place. Somebody on two occasions decided that they're not going to convict a white man for killing a so-called black man because that's what they had in their mind. They were not going to convict a so-called white man for killing a so-called black man. Yet this is the death. This is how it was. Uh, it was. This is how it transpired. Understand, once again, there's a two-part process that goes into choking somebody to death. First, they pass out. After they pass out, you have to continue applying that pressure that caused them to pass out. And then their life force ends. So for them to even be manslaughter is a slap in the face. Because for him to say, oh, I didn't mean to kill him. Yeah, you meant to kill him. You choked him with your hands, with your arm. You had your arm around his carotid artery. You squeezed when this man was not moving. You continued to squeeze. How in the hell is this not murder? Capital murder. I don't remember the situation and how it began. I know they were on a subway in like New York, I believe, and somehow they ended up in an altercation, and he squeezed this man's neck to death. Nobody intervened. Somebody should have kicked him in his forehead and got him off of the brother. Squeeze a man's neck. What do you expect to happen when you squeeze a man's neck? You don't squeeze a man's neck hoping that he's gonna to get him to behave. That is ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous and egregious. So they dropped the manslaughter charge. I don't believe that double jeopardy will be attached to that situation. So maybe they can. I don't know. It's absolutely unreal that these devils would continue to do this to our people. They just murder our people and nobody's accountable. It's nobody's fault. It just happened. It's completely egregious. It's outrageous. And any so called black man, woman, and child should be outraged. You should be completely pissed about this situation because a man can take his arm and squeeze the life out of someone who looks like you, and they'll hold no one responsible. You should be outraged about this situation. You should be so angry about this situation that in 2024, that it didn't happen this year. I'm sure it happened last year if I remember correctly. But that a person, a so-called white man, can squeeze the life out of a so-called black man, and nobody's responsible. If a snake, a serpent, a python squeezed the life out of any human, that snake would be put to death. That snake would be killed. Snakes that kill people don't get to live. But yet a so-called white man can squeeze the neck of a so-called black man. And somehow, some way, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's not like he squeezed the man one time and he went into a convulsion and died. He squeezed him for a while. He squeezed him for a long while. Much like you saw with the brother who they put on the ground and leaned and put his knees against his back, pushing the air out of him for all that time. Much like that brother, that happened to that brother, this was a similar situation. The only difference is this brother passed out before he died. I'm so sick of my people being done wrong at the hands of these goddamn heathen. I'm sick of them. I'm sick and I'm tired of these heathen feeling like they can do whatever they want to us. Like we just nothing. They can just whatever. And everything gonna go their way. Meanwhile, this brother's dead, his family is destroyed because he's murdered. He was murdered, and now they can't even get justice for him. They telling his family that, oh, sorry, your son, your brother, your uncle, your father, your cousin, your nephew is dead, but nobody's responsible because the guy who did it is not responsible for it. So nobody's responsible. I got news for you. Whatever your name is, Daniel Penny, you're not going to get away. You will not get away. The power of Israel said that he who touches his people, so-called black man scattered to the four quarters of the earth, black man, woman, and child scattered to the four quarters of the earth, those are the people of the Most High. He who touches his people touch the apple of his eye. You will not get away. You will not get away. You are fully accountable and you will pay dearly, and I mean severely, for your uh, uh, transgression against the children of Israel. You shall not get away because the death angel is going to see to it that you pay for your transgression. Touching the apple of the Most High's eye, there's a penalty. There's a price to pay for that. Think you can just choke a black man and get? You should have asked them. You should have pled guilty for your wrongdoing and took the punishment on this side. But you're trying to get away, and the system is playing in your favor. But you're not gonna get away. You may get away in this wicked kingdom, in this wicked system. You may get away here. You may be able to go jogging down the street and even get a job doing whatever it was you was doing before you got arrested. You may feel like things got back to normal, but you're not gonna get away. You will not get away. I guarantee you that. I hate to end such a good lesson with such a negative news information, but man, this is a terrible, terrible situation. It happened Yom Shishi. I'm just now hearing about it. Most High help us. All right. We'll go ahead and close it on out, as we always do with the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter number 12 and verse number 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. It is so very important that we understand that in the conclusion of the whole matter, we are to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. At the end of the day, when it is all said and done, all the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, we will be judged on whether we have feared the Most High and kept his commandments. Why? Because this is the whole duty of man. I am Yaakazaki Yahu, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahuwah Bahashem, Yahushua Hamashiach, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who were scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say shalom, wa baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day that the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. With our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. With our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. Until that day come, shalom, Israel. Peace and blessings, family. All praises to the Most High Yah.